We are doing today's GFG daily problem, buying and selling. Uh, yeah. So basically, in the question, you have been given an array of size n and built along the straight line adjacent houses. Basically, every element represents a houses. A house can, if the value is less than zero, the house wants to sell something like, and if the value is negative, then the house wants to buy. Okay, so this is something buying and selling. So all those who are positive are gonna buy something from all those who are negative, like -4. But you want the minimum, basically. Number such that all houses can buy and sell, basically all the transaction can happen, and you want some minimum number of, basically, uh you can say the cost, the work needed. Okay, so minimum work needed you want to find. You can say like each house has certain number of points, and buy and sell those to other houses. Transporting one bottle of this from one house to adjacent house is 1 unit of work. Okay, so this is basically the thing that you have to, for these transaction you have to do some work, and you have to, task is to find the minimum number of work which is required to fill all these demands. So let's start with this. The logic behind this is pretty straightforward, and that's why I will consider it as like a straightforward standard problem. The logic behind this is basically choose a positive element and then a negative element, then do the transition between these, and change the array and create another array. So and it's not like you can choose any positive element and any negative element. You will not choose this -3 and let's say this 5 as positive and negative pair, but you will choose these two as a pair because you want to minimize the work done. So they basically, you need to minimize the distance between the positive and negative pair, as well as you need to take it from the, iterating from 0 to n. You have to take it from, in the order they are coming. So first of all, what is my p? This my p is 5, and what is my ng is corresponds to a negative element, so this is -4. And I'll take the basically first p which I'm getting and first negative element which I'm getting at each iteration. So this is like, these are two pointers, like p is pointing towards this 5, and as you can see this ng is pointing towards this -4. So here comes our two pointer approach. So int p is initially 0, ng is initially 0, and while your p is less than n, and your ng is less than n, you will keep on iterating, so this will keep on moving forward till the point it becomes n, right? So currently p and ng are like this. So I'll say this is a positive element, this is a negative element. The transition between these, so -4 will go up to here, or you can just, what will be the transition value? This will just remain 1 and this will just remain 0, because minus wala wants to sell, so it can sell only 4 items, right, to this one. And when it for say when it buy the 4 item, the value becomes this -4, which is 1, and then it goes like all 0, right? And that's the new array basically. And 1 comma other elements are just as it is, -3 comma 1. And now I'll again start and finding my first positive and first negative. This is the basic thing. You have to find first positive, this is the first positive, and the first negative, this is the first negative. This is what you have to do for every time, because like this is how the transition are processing. First you will try to minimize the distance. You want to do all the transition between these p and ng, but that's not possible because the values are not equal. This p will require some of the negative element from this side. You can say it will require to buy some of the elements from this -3. So that's why, you have to do transition between these two, and then after you do the transition, the new array will look like something like this. This can take only one, so it will become 0 after taking one, and this gave a 1, so it will become -2, and this was as it is, right? And this is the new array. Again, you will find your p and your ng. Now you want to, give this one from item from this -2. So that's about it, and at last it will become something like, not like this, but ng will remain like this will become something like 0, and this will be keep on remaining positive. And yeah, that's how it is. But the basic thing or basic logic for this question would be two-point approach, selecting the first positive element, first negative element. How will you first select the first positive element? I'll say while p is less than n, and your current element is, either less than or equal to 0, you will keep on incrementing p because it is either negative or 0. You want positive, so whenever you found positive, you will stop incrementing p and you will out of this while loop. So similar thing will happen with this ng is less than n, and your a of ng is either positive or 0, then you will keep on incrementing to find the negative elements. Now you find the negative element, but the thing is like, if there are no negative element or there are no positive element, ng can be equal to n. or your p can be equal to n, then you in that case you will just break out the loop because you cannot do more transactions. And the thing is like now the here comes the thing, like you have to take something. Okay, so I'm calculating my result variable. So how your result is basically storing the result of the basically total work done. So what will be getting incremented to res getting incremented every time based on this value. So basically first you have to, how it is getting incremented, is that clear? Because that's something like how many items that you're transferring into the distance between these 2 points like p and ng. So this has been given over here, something like that. Where is the formula? Okay, task is to one this is the basically you can convert it into formula that transferring one item from one house to another house is just 1 unit of work, but then these have to be adjacent. If they are non-adjacent, so basically yeah, you will for example you want to travel from p to ng, you will first go to this point, then this point, then this point. So basically you have traveled three distance. So distance into the number of items that you are selling. So what is the distance? Distance is absolute because I don't know which is greater, n is greater or p is greater. So ng minus p, anyone can be greater, and two, multiplication of minimum element, because you are at each point you are transferring the minimum element. For example, 4 5 and 4 was the pair, so you will transfer 4 from this point to this point, right? And in this case like 1 and minus 3 was a pair, so 1 is smaller in terms of just absolute value, so you will transfer 1. So minimum of something like a of p, this is positive, no need, but this is negative, so take absolute of this a of ng. And yeah, that's about it. And after that, let's store your a of p, because now I'm going to modify my a of p is equal to something like maximum of 0 comma a of p plus ng. Okay, this is basically you this is basically nothing, but it's just me figuring out how to do this 5 and 4 convert into 1 and 0, because 4 will become 0, 5 will become just 1, right? How it will happen, like for example 5, ap was 5, so 5 is equal to maximum of 0, or 5 plus 4, that is 5 minus 4, that is 1, right? So it would be something like maximum of this, which is 1. It will not be 0, because for it to be 0 it has to be minus 5, but there are no minus 5, there is minus 4. So that's why it will become something like 1. But if this minus 4 was something like minus 7 or minus 8, so this will become completely negative. This will become the summation of this is 5 minus 7 is minus 2, but I will take the maximum, I'll take the 0, I'll not go beyond that, because you don't want to make this positive into negative. So that's how I'm like minus 7 will become minus 2 in that case. So something like that will happen. So let's see what we'll have to do from ng. You have to do minimum of 0 comma a of p plus a of the ng. It's like the same thing, but now you have to take minimum of those two things, and you have to store this a of p and use this a of p over here, because you changed the previous a of p. So for example 5 and 4, the difference is basically ng would be equal to minimum of 0 comma the addition is going to be what 1. It's going to be 1, but I'm not adding 1 over here because I'm just having 0 over here. Like at the place of ng minus 4, you can see there is 0, because the sum is 1, but you will take minimum of 0 comma 1, so that's 0. That's about it. And even if it's going negative, you will not go yeah, you can go negative. For example, if this was minus 7, so then it will be minus 2, because you can give only minus 5 to that side, you have remaining minus 2, you'll keep it with yourself. So that's about it. And now yeah, that's about it. Just try to uh, return your answer. Return res. It would work for smaller cases, but as you know, there is long long. So let's take long long. Anything else that's need to be taken care? N is not declared. Where? Acha. This is array is A. This N is small n. Okay. Now let's try to sum this up. And as you can see, it's successfully passed. And yeah, pretty simple question, just a two pointer basic standard question. Like we do multiple two pointer questions, but this is basically how you can figure out like why do we apply two pointer in this, because you want to transfer the elements, and you don't want to transfer like randomly, like from any positive and negative. You want something like the points which have distance minimum, those pairs of positive and negative, you have to make transition between them like this. And yeah, So for example, between this negative, there are three positive for this, but which will you choose? For this negative, I'll choose this because the distance is minimum. So first negative goes with first positive, and then it will become zero. Then first negative will go with first positive. Then these two will cancel out each other because the value is same. First negative, first positive. That's what you have to do. Every time you have to calculate first negative, first positive, do the calculation, change the array. And the thing is, why this time complexity is still often, because you can say you are just going to one point just once, or otherwise practically you can see that you are using same, like p and ng within this outer while loop as well as within this inner while loop. So the both time complexity will be, both are basically changing the p and ng. So there are not two variables, there are just like there are two variables, but this basically two while loops are basically referring to same variable. That's how you can see this, but logically you can just see that I'm just going from this point to this point and never coming back. So basically, yeah, that's how it is. If you make this positive somehow, like zero, once it will make it zero, you will never come back to this point, right? So then that's why you can see it as just off in approach. Okay guys, bye.